Hi guys, today is a very interesting and important activity. This is a bit of a general exercise. In short, we will take JMeter, create a test plan, then take Jenkins and run this test plan in Jenkins. You will succeed for sure. This video is included in the playlist. This is exactly this video number 14. If you follow the link in the description and watch and repeat everything that I do starting from the first video, then you will lay the foundation for working with the JMeter load testing tool. But if you're short on time, or you already have basic knowledge of JMeter, for example, then continue looking future until the right moment. This is exactly what I advise you to do. I went to the command line and checked what version of Java I had installed. I have Java 8 installed. This is a very common version and a lot of code has already been written using this version. But I want to tell you what for our purposes we need a newer version. Firstly, Jenkins is written in Java and we will download the latest version of Jenkins. But we will still have the old version of Java. Jenkins don't stop working because of this, but why take the risk? Let's download version 11 of Java from the official website. I will also leave a link to the download page in the description. Here is the standard procedure is performed. You select the operating system and download the desired file. There is another reason why we need to update Java. Together with Jenkins, we will install a package of plugins. These are usually fresh plugins and they are also written in the latest version of Java. Therefore, I think that this way this bunch of two will understand each other better. The download speed from the site is limited, so it took me about 20 minutes. You may also need formal registration on the site. Without registration you will not download Java, but this does not take much time. After downloading, click on the icon and update from Java 8 to Java 11. The new version of Java will automatically replace the old version. But if you are installing Java on your computer for the first time, then you will need some additional manipulations. Namely, you will need to register environment variables. This is necessary so that you can call the program from anywhere in your operating system, including from the command line. Now we will check if Java has been updated. For the changes to take effect, restart your computer. After the reboot, go to the command line again and check which version of Java is installed. Now we see what version 11 of Java is installed. We're done with Java. Now we need Jenkins. In one of the previous videos, I showed where to find and how to install the required version of Jenkins for Windows 7 and Java 8. But today we will have a different configuration. Therefore, especially for this video, I uninstalled the old version and now I will show you how to install the new from the very beginning. So, download this version to your desktop. Then we need to create a folder where our Jenkins will be located. After that, we transfer the file to the folder and we need the path to this folder. Copy it and paste it into the command line. We write a Java command to launch the Jenkins file. You need to wait a little, Jenkins is already starting. The first launch always takes longer, because some dependencies are downloaded. Next, you go to your browser and write localhost in the address bar. Look at what I have written. You need to do a little password manipulation. The path you must follow and copy your password is written in red. We must take the password there and paste it into the field on this page. Therefore, we go to this address, open the file, copy the password and return back. This setting is only done the first time you log into Jenkins. Next, we start installing all necessary plugins. It took me about 10 minutes. JMeter is a load generator. In other words, it generates the load what they apply to the product we want to test. And Jenkins is not a generator. It's just a very convenient automation tool. With the help of Jenkins, we can automate many processes in testing and development. Subscribe to the channel if you are interested in test automation and load testing automation, because there are already a lot of useful videos on the channel on these topics too. And we continue. As you have seen, you can skip the registration points, and here we are in the Jenkins control panel. Here is an example that I mentioned that not all plugins may be suitable. If we had stayed on the old version of Java, there could have been more such plugins. But for a simple build, this has no effect. And now we will assemble the simplest build. Now we need JMeter load testing tool. There is a playlist on the channel where I tell you how to install it. But since you have watched up to this point, then I will quickly show you how to install JMeter now. Let me remind you what we need: a test plan from JMeter. I will leave the JMeter download link in the description, and we will now unpack the JMeter archive that we just downloaded. I already have JMeter installed on my computer, but I'll take this opportunity to update it. Perhaps this will be useful to you too. Is at my folder with the old version of JMeter is located right on the C drive. I just copy the new folder to the C drive, and now it appears below. Here is they are. And now one more repetition. In this playlist there is a video about JMeter and the command line. There is more detail about environment variables. So, in order for the system to see the new version, and this version could be called from anywhere in the system, we must make changes to the environment variables. We delete the archive, we no longer need it, and go to the command line to check if the system sees the new JMeter. I see that JMeter is not called, and at this point I restart the computer. After rebooting the computer, JMeter is also not called. Let's look at the version folders. And I understand why this happened, because in the old version of JMeter the files are located immediately, but in the new version of JMeter another folder is nested in the folder. I always get rid of such nesting, because the shorter the path, the greater the reliability and better visibility. Now I will remove the unnecessary component and everything will work. So, we updated Java so that Jenkins, which we installed, would work normally. We also updated JMeter, and now we will create a small test plan, which we will then launch through Jenkins. Because Jenkins is a shell that helps us manage various processes, and JMeter is a load generator that generates the load that we apply to our application in order to test it. And now we will draw up a small test plan. We will send 10 users to each page of the site, and they will be added there at interval of 1 second. And we will take a site that is very interesting and convenient for testing. I'll leave the link in the description. This site helps you quickly collect information about a person with only his phone number, for example, or just his email or Facebook ID. In general, take a look for yourself if you are interested. This lesson turned out to be a bit of a generalization of all knowledge what you will get by looking through the entire playlist about JMeter and load testing. Therefore, if you have not watched our classes, I will explain that we are doing now. Now we will write down the path of 5 different pages on the site, and the 10 users I talked about will come to each of these pages. This test plan has a simple goal. We just need it to show how JMeter and Jenkins connect, how to connect them into a working connection. The playlist about JMeter already contains classes on the theory of load testing. There I tell you what in fact user behavior on the site is much more complex, and what all users need to be divided into groups based on behavior. And only after that begin to imitate the behavior of each group in JMeter. And I also want to remind you of one important thing. This is necessary for understanding. As you understand, any site can handle a load of 10 or 100 users, but one of the goals of load testing is often to find a load limit in order to determine whether an online store can withstand the flow of customers on Black Friday, for example. Therefore, the real test plan will be very extensive. Some users will imitate registration on the site, some will view pages, and therefore the work of JMeter will require the resources of your computer. And the graphical interface also consumes some computer resources. Therefore, we must use the graphical interface only to edit the test plan or make change to it. And we must run testing through the file in which the test plan is saved, and we must run it through the command line, for example, without the partification of the graphical interface. This is also stated on the JMeter website. I started running tests. You see what they are all executed successfully. This means that the site's page responds to requests sent to it. The results were saved to a file which they will cut and add to the desktop. Or rather, this is not a result, but the very test plan what we need, which we can run without a graphical interface. Oh, we have everything we need, and we begin in the final phase. I will ask those who have watched up to this point to like it. Well done, Lunch Jenkins. We also have JMeter. Here he is. Next we go to the localhost in the Jenkins graphical interface. We don't need the JMeter graphical interface that will now open automatically. We close it and our Jenkins graphical interface loads. Ready. Let's create a project. Let's call it something and select the first item. Click OK. Then scroll to the very bottom and select the item with Windows. Now copy the path to the bin folder in JMeter here. Then we paste this command. And now we need to specify the path to the file with the test plan. And at the end, don't forget to put this command. Click Build and wait. The goal has been achieved. The build has come together. This is very first step. In the following videos, I will tell you future what we can do with this build and what our interesting things can be done with Jenkins. What our platforms and tools can be connected to it and how to use it. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and don't forget to check out the links in the description. Bye guys.